You're listening to Breakaway Wealth, the show designed to help you build wealth faster, think bigger, and break out of the herd. Now, here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me, a friend to the show, Paul Moore. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, Jim, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, man, and I'm really excited to talk to you because I haven't talked to you for a while, and I always enjoy our conversations. And I know that if I want to know something about real estate and real estate syndication, and I want to educate myself, I know who to come to. And so that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you back on the show and share with the audience. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. What an honor to be here again. Thank you so much.
So, Paul, for people that haven't heard you on previous episodes, just give a little background real quick and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and anything that might be pertinent.
Yeah. So I sold my company to a publicly traded firm 26 years ago. And I started investing in real estate to protect and grow my own wealth and started flipping houses. And then I started flipping waterfront lots at a resort. That was a lot of fun and profitable till it wasn't in 2007 and 8. I built some houses, which was a huge mistake for a guy who doesn't know how to install my own doorknob. I'm just saying. But yeah, and then I eventually, after doing a subdivision, we ended up doing a multifamily project in North Dakota during the big Bakken oil boom that was very familiar to you, I know. And we had a lot of fun with that. And I ended up writing a book on multifamily investing, humbly titled The Perfect Investment. But after years of watching multifamily skyrocket through the mid-teens, I concluded that multifamily might not be the perfect investment if you have to overpay to get it. So we expanded out into self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, and other asset types. And what we have done is we've created 6 total funds over the years that allow investors to give us money. And then these accredited investors, we take their money and put it in a diversified fund. And then we hopefully give them cash flow and appreciation if all goes as planned.
Yeah, let's start there, Paul. That's great. That's a great background. And I love that you sold your company, and there's so many business owners, and I know that you've dealt with this too, is I work with so many business owners and they think, hey, I'm going to sell my company. I'm going to take that lump sum. I'm going to put it with Wall Street, and then I'm just going to live off of it for the rest of my life, and everything's going to be grand. Right. Until it isn't, like you said.
Right.
And they live in this stress because they don't think and they don't realize that you can only take out, say, 3%, right? And so you think, I'm going to put in $10 million, I'm going to have all this money. Well, no, you're not really going to have all this money. But if you could take that $10 million and you can leverage it and grow it, and you can put it into something that's going to cash flow and grow, and maybe have other tax benefits, unlike Wall Street.
Yeah.
There's so many things. So I love the fact, because when I show a business owner really what's going to happen, then they think, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money. Well, no, you have enough money, but not just to go give it to some money babysitter and have them make money off of you for the next 40 years.
Right.
That you don't have enough money to do. But if you have somebody that understands real estate. So what you did is you educated yourself, which I love. And then now you're sharing that education. And the way that I look at somebody like you, Paul, and you're one of the people that we refer people to, because we know you know what you're doing, and we've had a long relationship with you and your company. But I love the fact that you're educating people about how it works, and you're sharing your education, and they can kind of hack that education, right? I mean, find out what you want, and then find somebody who's got what you want, and then do what they did, right? Or learn from them, or let them guide you or partner with you.
Yeah.
So talk about just some of the advantages of working with somebody who's going to build an asset class or syndication, and what to expect, how that kind of works. A lot of people just don't know, like, wait a minute, aren't I just doing the same thing as Wall Street? I'm giving some guy my money
Yeah.
and then he's going to charge me a fee. And then talk about the differences.
Yeah, so I had lunch today with some registered investment advisors, and I started talking about what we do, and they started groaning. One of them in particular, because like a lot of people, they watched HGTV, and they thought, "Oh, I can flip a house. This will be fun. This will be so profitable. This will be, yeah, right. This will be a nightmare." Usually, not always. Sometimes it works really well.
Yeah.
But for most people who have a full-time job, a career, they're making a lot of money, or they're even enjoying retirement and golf, they don't usually have the skills and the tools and the ability to do due diligence, especially now that flipping houses has become so popular and it is so competitive that the prices on the courthouse steps, or for these fixer uppers, as we used to call them, have gone so high. And so, just like everything in life, I think we talked years ago about Gary Keller and Jay Papasan's wonderful book, The One Thing.
Yep.
The best thing we can do in life, and the day Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, love them or hate them, met, they both agree that the key to success in their being, the two of the wealthiest guys in the world, was extreme focus. Whatever you're doing, focus on it. Become really, really, really good at that, whether it's retirement or your career or your family, whatever it is, focus on it, keep it very narrow, and then outsource everything else. And so we really believe that commercial real estate, while it has been the playground of the wealthy insiders for centuries, now we know that through the Jobs Act of 2013 and other things, it's accessible to accredited investors of all types. We also know that, it would be very, very hard to become an expert in, self-storage, multifamily, mobile home parks, cell towers, all these things, and be able to manage all that really, really well. Some people with family or multifamily offices, as they're called, they do a great job doing that, but most people have a hard time doing that really, really well, profitably, and having diversification. And so that's where a syndicator or fund manager in general would come in.
Yeah. Paul, we always say who, not how. Like, who do I collaborate with?
Yes.
Not how do I go learn to do what Paul Moore does, right? And we're teaching people about infinite banking concept and how to create financial independence and financial freedom, passive revenue. I don't like to say passive income because income is taxed,
Yeah.
right? If I have passive
Right.
revenue, then I have deductions and depreciation, and I have all kinds of ways to fight against that tax bracket.
Right.
And so, in one of the classic books, The Richest Man in Babylon, he says, invest in what you know. Okay, well, if and you should. And if you don't know those things, like I'm like you, my wife, she called a plumber to replace toilet seats. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So, because she was like, I know you can't do it. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't. It did take me 2 hours, but that's okay. I got it done.
Right.
Did only broke 2 toilet
That's
seats.
great.
But, yeah, I thought it was a success. But my point
That's kind of a
was,
new world record for me.
that's right. So my point is that hiring experts it only makes sense. And it has made my life so much easier because I don't have to worry about doing those things that I don't know how to do. Same way with investing in real estate and keeping up. Because you said something I think that's really important is you said, hey, maybe multifamily is overpriced. Now, I'm in Southwest Florida, and I promise you there's a need for multifamily down here, a big need. But guess what? It's super, super competitive and super, super fast.
Yeah.
And you got to have money, and you better have a lot of it, and you better have the right contractor. You better have all of it, because if not, you're not going to be able to compete, which means I'm not that expert, right? And maybe this isn't the right market, or how do I know it's the right market? Maybe I should be buying stuff in Tennessee or Virginia. I mean, and that's where if I partner, with someone like you're already doing that research and you come to me and say, hey, Jim, I think that right now it's not multifamily. It may be in this sector. And this is why. And I say, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Let's partner, Paul. Let's go. So what would you say is that opportunity that you guys see right now? What is that? Where should we be looking?
I had not thought about this question before you asked, but I'm going to give you an unconventional answer, and it might be unsatisfactory to you, to be
Okay.
honest.
All right.
But I think the opportunity is finding the expert in any of the great asset classes, commercial real estate, that have an inside track on acquisitions, an inside track on getting distressed properties, management distress, for example, as opposed to fallen in disrepair. Um, an inside track on operations and landlording, and an inside track on putting together a portfolio and selling to a larger buyer, sometimes a REIT or an institutional investor. Whatever the asset class, I think that's where the real money is, because like I've been dissing on multifamily in my blog posts for years. I mean, right after I wrote The Perfect Investment, I started scratching my head and going, well, hold on, guys, maybe this isn't so great. But today I talked to a prospective operator that we might invest in, who has an inside track to do all that stuff I just mentioned a minute ago. And I'm thinking, okay, well, now that's somebody we really could potentially invest with. The problem is if you're a casual observer, or if if you've got a life or a business or career retirement, you're likely not to find those really, really needle in the haystack people who don't promote themselves really well, and they're already getting enough money usually. So that's where my answer would be. Maybe not what you expected.
No, no, I love that answer because again, it's saying who, not how. Is you got to find that person. It's not very easy to find that person. So, and that's what everybody's thinking sitting at home is, look, I don't know how to figure out which is the right fund, which is who's the right person to go with. Should I be in mobile home parks? Should I be in self storage? I don't know how to go find that that opportunity, right? So what do I do? And who do I listen to? Because somebody can figure out that hey, anybody can call them, not anybody, but there's a lot of people out there that have really no experience syndicating that are calling themselves syndicators, right?
Right.
That they're creating and approving a fund and they're just trying to collect money and then they don't even really know what they're going to go do with it. Right? I mean, I see these people, they wanna come on the show, and I go, but, that's hard. It's hard to find that expertise, but but you have to listen and interview some people and find out what is your experience. Tell me some successes. Tell me some failures. What's not worst case scenario, but tell me when it didn't go right. What happened? How much did
Right.
investors lose or whatever it is? And how do you recover from that?
Mhm.
And I think that part of it is if like it's kind of like if you have 10 deals going, well then that the majority of those deals you're gonna make money on, right? If you have one deal going, then it's you better make money on that one or you're in trouble, right? Diversification.
I mean, that's why we love diversification. And, Warren Buffett ragged on diversification. Yeah, I'm writing a book on Warren Buffett's rules for real estate investors, and he ragged on diversification. And who else was it? I'm forgetting right now. Diversification is for people who don't know what they're doing. Warren Buffett is the ultimate diversifier. He's got 110 different companies in mostly different geographies, different asset types, different, they have different economic drivers. And that's exactly what he's done. He's looked for the very best, recession resistant asset types. Then he's found the best operators that have what he calls a durable product that could be grown significantly. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And I believe most investors should be looking for that as well. Brian Burke is a wonderful multifamily operator. He wrote a book, which a lot of people thought was going to be the key to finding these opportunities. It's called The Hands-Off Investor. And it is about 340 pages, and it's grueling. In fact, I think it depressed more people than anything, because it didn't remind people. It told people what you really have to go through to make a great investment. And I'm absolutely grueling to do that. I can tell you from the inside, it is for us. But if you have the time and the expertise to do that, go for it. I know one guy who does. He lives in your area. He called me this morning, and he spends months and months and months and months, goes through hundreds and hundreds of potential opportunities to find one. And that, you can do that. People can, but they better be diversified, like you said.
Yeah, but again, that exception to the rule, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that you can't try to model the exception, in my opinion, because if you model the exception, we have a great friend and client who has a lot of real estate within 75 miles of his hometown. It works for him, but he can turn around a renovation in 72 hours. He knows that market better than anybody.
Yeah.
And that's the market that he's specializing in. He's doing that one thing, right?
Yeah.
But he's diversifying because he's got that already built up. That's a great thing but also he knows two things. He knows how to find those deals, and the banks love him up there, as you can imagine, and they'll do just about anything for him.
Yeah.
You couldn't recreate that model in Southwest Florida. You just couldn't, because the banks, they're different than those small town credit unions or those small town community banks. So talk about maybe where are some of the areas that you guys are looking that people haven't thought about? Like if it's not multifamily, where do you think some of the opportunity is?
Yeah, multifamily's been really popular for a lot of years, and it should be. It's a great place to invest. Did you know is a 4.3 million rental unit shortage by 2035? That's about a dozen years. That's about 20% of what it's taken, let's say, 100 years to build. And I'll tell you what, Jim, if this banking crisis and this interest rate, call it a crisis. It's not, of course, it's just cycle we're in. If this holds us up for 2 years, then we're going to have like 10 years to build 20% of the new rental housing stock. It's just going to be a horrendously hard thing to do. So I love multifamily if you don't have to overpay to get it. And maybe, just maybe, there'll be some distressed opportunities coming up in the next 2 years. But right now, I would like to direct people to consider RV parks. Since COVID, the number of first-time RV campers, has gone up 5-fold. And that was in 2020 alone, a year when most people were staying inside their houses. There are about 10 million RVs on the road in the United States right now, but about 8 or 9 million more people say they want to buy them.
Mm.
And even if that doesn't happen, the RV sharing model and the work at home revolution have meant that there is a massive increase in people on the road, or camping at least, with RVs, even if they're renting them, which is what my family wants to do this summer. We don't want to buy one. We want to rent one. My neighbor has a huge Winnebago, and he says he has to book spots at RV parks over a year in advance.
Wow.
If he can get them at all. And so there's massive pressure on this very limited supply of mom and pop run RV parks. So a professional operator, if you can find one, good luck, can go in and buy these and just turn them into a gold mine.
I love that.
Now, by the way, my compliance people will want me to say this. They can also fail miserably.
Right.
I said it. Okay, Adrian.
You know what? I'll tell you, you just made somebody's day, by the way, Paul. Is Drew White, who's on the Great Tailwind team, lived in Omaha, and he bought an RV last year, and he can work from anywhere with Great Tailwind because we do Zoom meetings. And his wife and his kids, they They piled into the brand new RV and off on the road they went. And for some reason, they're down here in Florida this time of year. I don't know why they're just staying in Florida, but
Why would that
I
be?
don't know. But you just made Drew's day because he is going into these RV parks. And by the way, he was on a meeting this morning from one, and I said, "Where are you?" "At the RV park." And it looked like this big building, nice, that had beams, like log beams on. And I was like, "That's at an RV park?" I mean, it looked nice. And there's like kind of, it was like a common eating area. I don't know if there was a restaurant there or what, but
Yeah.
so I don't think it's not the KOA that I had in my head, that is, and I think that these things are going to evolve, right?
Yeah.
As more and more people take this up.
Yeah, they have already. I can tell you that there are probably 4 different types of RV parks. There's overnight, which is just, along a highway, people on the way somewhere. There's extended stay, the kind where they build a deck around them, and you see a lot of those in Florida.
Mm,
There's workforce housing like the Bakken oil boom saw. But then there's destination RV
mm.
parks. And destination RV parks, they often have water parks.
Wow.
They might be in a place like Branson where there's, a whole lot of things to do. They might have Wibbits, which is a lake with a beautiful obstacle course where they charge the kids or adults $17 an hour to play on there. That's a potential $1,000 an hour value add to the RV park. They have dog pens and glamping models and, just all these value adds, a little makeshift drive-in theater and hay wagons and face painting and t-shirt painting and gem mining.
Wow.
And these things, you can buy one. We invested in one that cost 3 or 4 million, but the total budget once they're done is $18 million. Now that's going to be hard for most mom and pops to replicate. But wow, for those few people who can, it can be extremely profitable if done well.
Wow. I guess you just told me more in the last 5 minutes about RV parks than I would have known. And Paul, before the show, we agreed that we were going to dive into that sector, to that opportunity a little deeper in the next couple of weeks. But we're going to just kind of uh, you know tease that a little bit, that RV parks. Now, thinking about that, you just again told me so many things that I never would have thought about an RV park. But that goes back and it cements the point that you made at the very beginning, which is I don't I don't want to go educate myself on RV parks, but I think that I might want to look into uh, putting some money in RV parks, or seeing what opportunities and learning a little bit more about that. And I assume that you've written that on your blog to help educate people about RV park investing.
I have written on my blog, wellingscapital.com, but I also have a free special report if you think your listeners would be interested.
Well, I'm interested. And I guarantee you my listeners are interested. So absolutely, we'd love to have that free report that maybe we can put in the show notes, or the link to get to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wellingscapital.com/resources.
Awesome. Awesome. You know, let's shift gears a little bit. And one of the things that I love about you, and I think differentiates you from other people that I've talked to that do what you do, or think they do what you do, is you have purpose. Like it's not all about how do I just go out and make them, like you look for that purpose, you look for that character in the investment. Talk a little bit about that. Like if I just want to go make money, there's a lot of people that can just go make money. That's not the thing. Like at Create Tail, when we tell people we free slaves, right? And people kind of like they're taken aback by that. But it's true, because we are financial slaves if we let ourselves be financial slaves. So our purpose is to free people. Teaching them about infinite banking and financial freedom is the result of that, because it's like, okay, now once I'm set free, what do I do? So just talk about that purpose and that how you've seen that grow over the years in your experience.
Yeah, actually, the guy was from North Dakota, not far from where you used to live.
Yep.
He called me one day and he said, "I am so tired of running single family rentals." I said, "Huh? What?" He said, "Well, I was at the zoo the other day and I got 2 little kids," and he wasn't that old. And he said, I was on the phone the whole day trying to deal, and I've got landlords and property managers and everything, but I'm tearing my hair out. I've gotta get out of this business. I thought it would be passive at some point, and it really hasn't been. And so our purpose is to see people, like we said earlier, be able to truly get the tax benefits, the cash flow, and the appreciation opportunities from commercial real estate, and be freed, like you said, to enjoy their lives because they don't have to be the expert in all this and do all that. But there is something else that we do that we have in common with you. Did you know if you took the record annual profits from Apple, General Motors, Nike, and Starbucks, not their average, their record annual profits, added those together, doubled that number, this would be, according to the US State Department, the approximate profits generated by human trafficking right now in the world. There's more slaves than any other time. Hundreds and hundreds of children have been enslaved since we started talking just minutes ago, and it's a crisis. And so we want to do something about that. Wellings Capital is trying to inform the world how serious this is, encourage people to get involved, and we're also vetting nonprofits who are effective, and we're encouraging people to invest with them. We are investing part of our profits with them as well.
You know, I find that when you make money and you give back, and in my belief system, you give money to God first. And but when you give money back to good causes, you you more money flows to you. Have you ever noticed that? Like,
Yeah,
more money.
always.
It's in If you ever get into a slump, give some money away.
Yeah,
Is because I'm just telling you, it's just like, try it once. Because what happens is it just flows in faster.
yeah.
And when you're doing the right thing. And I don't know how many years ago it was, you gave me a movie that honestly I couldn't finish watching.
Yeah,
And I've got a pretty strong stomach,
yeah,
but this one, maybe my heart isn't as strong because it broke my heart. This movie, Nefarious, right?
yes, that's right.
And it's I would say I wouldn't recommend anybody watch it, but you should.
Yeah,
It's something you got to know because it's just unbelievable that that's happening.
yeah,
But when you make money for a purpose of going and doing good with it, or sharing and doing good, it's funny. Nelson always said opportunities find cash.
right.
Okay, but I think opportunities find good hearts too.
Yeah,
Is if you're doing the right thing, more money's going to flow to you. You're going to have more responsibility. So having that purpose and doing good in the world,
yeah,
I think is the key. And anybody can. I love that I'm outside, and it's been quiet for 2 hours, and now they're banging, yelling,
yeah. I can't
and
hear a
they're
thing.
doing. Oh, you can't. Okay, good, good. I have my AirPods in. Do an Apple plug. But I mean, there's banging in the background and everything else. It's just funny that that's how it works. But and I'm almost back in my house, Paul, after almost 6 months.
Yeah,
So I'm camping in my house. You talk about RV parks. I have kind of I think maybe I'd be better off at an RV park, a
mm,
really nice one right now, than in my house, because there's more dust in my house than the Sahara, it feels like. But
yeah.
all right, Paul. One of the things I always ask everybody, and you gave a couple of great books, but if God came down from heaven and allowed you to retain the knowledge of only one book that you've ever read, what would that book read? What would that book be? I mean,
Wow. Well, if it was only one book, I mean,
outside the Bible.
yeah, I thought you'd say that, and that's fine. I think I would go with a book called Shattered Dreams by Larry Crabb, because everybody is disappointed in their life. Everybody has shattered dreams. Everybody has things that didn't go the way they thought. And he talks in this book about how to make a great, great purpose, and the great purpose that we can achieve from these shattered dreams as capital, if you will, the return on shattered dreams, I'll call it.
You know what? I love when somebody gives a recommendation and I haven't read the book, not even heard of it. So that is going to go on my list. I was looking at my journal to the right. I was about ready to write it down, but I'm going to wait till we get off the air. So I'm not looking down over here and writing. So Shattered Dreams. I'm gonna get that book. I love it. So Paul, we're gonna reconvene and we're gonna talk about RV parks in a little bit more detail.
Great.
But give the website again for that free report so that people can be a little bit prepared for that next episode.
Yeah, it's Wellings Capital. That's WELLINGS, wellingscapital.com/resources. And that has special reports on commercial real estate investing in general, one on self-storage, one on mobile home parks, one on RV parks, and more.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go check that out. Paul, thank you so much for being on and sharing. And, every time I talk to you, it makes me excited about going and doing something and doing some good in the world. And I love that how dedicated you are to helping with human trafficking. And every time that you say something about it, it's mind boggling how big it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine. And I think I said this last time, and maybe I haven't followed through as much, but I want Create Tailwind and Breakaway Wealth to help in that area too. So I got to just think about and pray about how we can help in that cause. So
fantastic.
But thank you again for coming on, and we're going to wrap this up like we do every episode with the great words of Earl Nightingale and The Strangest Secret. Take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to hear what was shared on today's podcast. If you are looking to discover new wealth building strategies, then go to community.createtailwind.com. That's community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free courses and in-depth training videos designed to help you build wealth and break away from the herd. Click the link in the show notes to access the community today. Thanks again for listening.